Have you ever wondered if Pomni could be more than just a character? What if she's actually a program designed to test the others? I know this sounds really abstract, but let me firstly get into the theory and then you can see for yourself if this is valid or not. But it's just my theories after all. So let's get into it. In today's video, I'll be going through Pomni's role, going over potential evidence, and of course discussing some of the implications that this theory has. So what is this all about? It's about Pomni being a program designed to test the other characters' limits and responses. We know that Pomni is the main character in TADC. She's seen to be very doubtful of things and nearly always questioning everything. She has been in the Digital Circus for 2 days, in which we can see in both episodes, because Ragatha said something about yesterday's event in episode 2, which means that episode 1 happened the day before episode 2.
There she is. Hope you're doing all right. I know yesterday was a bit of a doozy.
A doozy.
Oh, and don't worry about the whole abandoning me for the exit thing. It's perfectly understandable what you were going through at the time, and there's no hard feelings. You're all good.
Pomni is also a jester, so in similar appearance, I would actually categorize her in the same class as Kaufmo, who was a clown. She is 25 years old and that is confirmed on their wiki site, but is she really 25 years old? If my theory is correct, then her being 25 is actually fake. When Pomni first arrived, she was freaked out, and it was honestly very fair, because who wouldn't be freaking out if they arrived in a cartoon circus?
Who are you people? Why can't I take it off? Where am I?
Let's just try to calm down. Everything's gonna be okay, new stuff. We've all been through this. You just need to get your head together.
But one thing is that she's confused throughout the entire episode, but this could actually just be an act that she has put on. For example, we know that Pomni, Jax, and Ragatha were walking in the dorm room hall to check on Kaufmo. Pomni actually zoned out. In my previous theory videos, I actually thought Pomni to be suffering from anxiety, and this could have been one of her anxiety attacks. But I'm going another direction in this video. If we look at Pomni, she's zoning out, and that can mean many things, but in this case I actually think that it's her programming that could have bugged out for a second, and Jax fixed her by nudging her.
Why are we here again?
But before we reach this scene, there's actually another scene which is right before Pomni zoning out, which is when Pomni asks Ragatha about finding an exit to the circus.
Why even go on them at all? Why not try to find a way to leave?
Well, we usually do when we first arrive, but after a while you start to realize that you really can't leave, and constantly chasing an unattainable goal will start driving you a bit crazy. And eventually you get to asking what the point of anything is, and you completely lose sight of who you are and why you're even alive, and when you reach your breaking point, something really terrible can happen.
Now, many probably interpret this scene as her just being confused and wanting to exit the circus, but if we take my theory into consideration, then Pomni is actually just using her AI capabilities to ask that question to Ragatha so that she can test Ragatha's limits. And another thing is that we know that Kane is an AI who is running the place, and from all of his years in the circus and constantly adapting and learning, we can theorize that he has learned a lot of stuff in which he probably adapted to. So he probably knew that Pomni would arrive, and that could be the reason that Kane is focusing a lot on Pomni, because he wants Pomni to adapt and learn as well, so that Pomni can experiment even more on the circus members. One more important scene is also when she befriends Gomigo in episode 2, when they glitch down into the back rooms.
The place I'm from? Well, I'm originally from somewhere else. But if it has to be my home, maybe it can be yours too. The people there are interesting, at the very least. Maybe you could be somebody real there.
I know that some of you think of this as a human thing and it's just her being a nice person, with a conscience, but this is where I actually think otherwise. Now, not that she's not a nice person, I bet she is, but the reason for me thinking otherwise is because I believe Pomni to have learned so much from the human world. Because if we use my theory on Cain always adapting and learning, then we can also use it on Pomni, since she might be a program to test the other circus members. So from her observing and getting all the information from the outside world, she knew what to tell Gummy-Goo. But I also think it's because he's an NPC, and with him being an NPC and Pomni being AI, I somehow think that she felt some kind of pity for Gummy-Goo, because Gummy-Goo just found out that his entire purpose is to be defeated by some main characters, and also that his life is fake along with everything else. So she wanted to help Gummy-Goo out since they are the same. In other words, technology/computer. So what is it that Pomni's real purpose could be? As my theory was that she's a program designed to test the circus members, I think that her purpose isn't really that straightforward. So let's get into that now. With her being an AI with learning capabilities through the roof, I think that she was sent into the circus for the sole reason for learning about the limits of the circus members. But the creators behind her probably planned something else. They knew that she can constantly improve, so with that, she could be learning so much more than just the limits of the circus members. She might actually learn more about being a human and what it feels like. And that could be a gigantic breakthrough in the technology space. So those who created her might actually be constantly watching her to see improvements. So with this theory, Pomni might actually be trying to find more answers than just limits. She could be doing something on purpose in the adventures so that they would have to do something, and that could mean leading the other circus members to figuring out what to do, their stress level, their thinking, their behavior, and how they feel. So with her learning all of that, it could be a revolutionary thing. Because not only does she not act like a robot, but she actually might be able to live out in the real world and interact with other human beings without them knowing that she's just a robot. But that is just one of the possibilities, because it could go the other dark way, which is the creators using her as a weapon. But again, there are so many possibilities with this revolutionary breakthrough. So if this theory is true, we can only wait and see how it turns out. But let's talk about how this theory could impact the whole storyline. Because if this is true, then the show will definitely take us for a wild ride. We know the daily life of the circus members, which is presumably waking up, doing a morning scene / introduction, Cain introducing them to the new adventure, completing that adventure, having their free time, and at last dinner. But now everything could actually change, because Pomni could potentially experiment with them. So in their adventure, she could be postponing everything with delaying the completion of the adventure, and that could lead them being stuck in the adventure for days, and with that she could be observing how they behave and so on. But the circus members will definitely notice this if Pomni keeps doing it. So in the future, they would actually expose Pomni for doing all of that, and that her behavior is very suspicious, kind of like how a robot acts. And this is when Pomni will tell them everything about herself. So it could be taking a whole turn in TADC. So with all of that unfolding, we might see a change in Pomni, which could result in her rebelling against the creators of TADC. And with that, she could lead the circus members out of the game. But one of the things that might potentially also support my theory is a tweet from Gooseworks sent out a long time ago. Now this might not directly correlate with my theory, but just read it. It says that the show's progression is 95% just character stuff, which means that TADC is mainly focused on the characters and not so much on the action. So that could help with my theory about Pomni being a program designed to test the circus members, because it is just character stuff. But after all, those were just my theories. Let me know what you think about them down below. Comment your own theory, or if you want me to cover something in TADC. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and click on this video here.